This is Solar, a level I spent the best part of 2 months putting together and is by far the best full level I have ever made. Now the level isn't perfect, of course it's not, and you can easily argue that it doesn't even stand out much from a big chunk of the levels you see get rated all the time. I don't want to claim this level as a masterpiece, I just wanted to go through my thought process while making it, along with giving a few insights that I discovered along the way that can hopefully help you on your creating journey as well. So the first step on my journey to making this level was the idea. The solar theme was something I've had stashed away in the back of my brain for years, and on the night of July 14th, it was brought to the front and I was just thinking non-stop about this theme in my head. I was imagining some form of ethereal temple, with intricate and delicate shapes slowly moving and rotating, built from the pure energy of the sun. Everything so stable and balanced, yet seemingly fragile. And I just imagined what it would be like to explore through this environment, watching the slow, calm, and calculated motion of everything that surrounds you. Now this might not fully represent what solar is, especially since the sun is actually super violent and chaotic in the real world, but for some reason I just had this environment so vividly in my head and I really wanted to try and convey it somehow. So the origin of solar wasn't even an idea for a Geometry Dash level, and it didn't start because I wanted to get creator points. It started because I had an image in my head of a theme that I really badly wanted to execute, and I figured probably the best way for me to do that would be in GD. And from there it was all smooth sailing. I just placed down objects in accordance with what I had in my head, and after 2 months of doing that, boom, I had a level. Okay, no. That's the ideal situation we all want, but I know for myself personally at least, that is definitely not the case. What actually happened with Solar is that I started trying to build a rotating object I had so clearly in my head, but I just couldn't get it looking good, and it didn't match the vision I had in my head at all. Honestly, this happens with me all the time, and as a result, most of my ideas just disappear into the I'm not good enough at creating to make these work mindset, and that's that. So I wrote an annoyed tweet about it and thought that was it, but then the replies came in. I want to quickly say thank you so much to everyone who gave some advice on that tweet, because honest to God, Solar wouldn't have even started without them. So here's what I learned. The main thing I've found, which I've also heard from other countless creators, is to not worry about building a masterpiece. If you've never finished a decorated level before, jumping straight into building an epic feature-worthy demon that will blow minds is like beating a main list extreme if you've never beaten an easy demon. It's okay to make a level that doesn't look good, or isn't fun to play, or isn't anywhere near rate-worthy. This is where I think it's really important to realize that not every creating project needs to be taken seriously. In fact, just about all of the best parts I've ever made have come from either levels I never intended on finishing, or joke levels like Kratos. When you're taking a level seriously, you're going to try and play it safe, stick to what you know and the best methods you found, but with a less serious level, you're free to experiment a little more, which is so important when you're first learning how to create. If you're struggling to build a decent looking level, your strategy for decorating isn't working, and you need to try new things out and experiment. And that's probably the biggest realization I had while building Solar. And so I changed up my process. For years by this point, the process I went through to build every level went a little like this. Step 1, build a layout. Step 2, come up with a block design, and step 3, I don't know, I usually didn't make a block design I was happy with, so I'd give up by then. With Solar though, I went through a completely different process. I started with the block design first, decorating a bit of a generic block structure like this, trying to make something cool. I eventually came up with this structure here, which honestly isn't even that detailed, but I told myself that I'll come back to it later and improve it if I needed to. From there, I came up with these floating spikes here with a super simple spike design, then started copy pasting some of these around to create what I like to call a pilot part. Just a temporary look at whether the deco style you came up with will work. From there it was ground spikes and saw blade design, then going back to the block design to add these fading blocks, middle and objects hanging from the top like this. And then finally made the gameplay just by copy pasting and altering the block design I already had. From there it was just overlay glow, custom background, and a bunch of little details until it was at a point I was happy with, and boom, the first part was done. Completely different approach to what I normally take, and every time I had a doubt in my head, I just thought about how if the part turns out bad, I can just scrap the level and not tell anyone about it. And that essentially gave me almost no pressure to create a decent first part. And probably because of that, the part actually turned out great. It's almost exactly what I envisioned, and although a lot of people say it's one of the weaker parts, it's personally one of my favorites and builds the atmosphere exactly how I want it to. The stable, non-moving platforms and floating spikes, along with the slow rotations and subtle pulses of different objects, gave the exact vibe I was going for. Oh, and these animated objects under the floating spikes, probably my favorite detail in the whole level. So I uploaded a showcase of the first part the next day and opened myself up to criticism, which brings up another good point I found when building this. I had a really strong theme in mind when building this level, and while I did really want it rated, that wasn't really the main goal of the level. The main goal was to execute on the theme that I had in my head and make something I was genuinely proud of. I got a lot of tips and criticism of the level, which I'm super thankful for, but a decent chunk of it would go completely against what I wanted to achieve with the level. Stuff like adding more pulses, movements, and hue changes were all things I got quite a lot, especially when talking about the first part, but other than making some of the pulses more obvious, I didn't actually implement any of those. And the reason is because they went completely against the vibe I was trying to create. I believe that when you're making a level, ultimately it's up to you how you want to build it, and feedback on a level should always be treated as suggestions, no matter how good of a creator is giving the feedback. Of course though, it should always be appreciated. Feedback comes from someone taking time out of their day to look at your level and try to help you out. But you don't have to take everything said about your level as pure fact. All that being said though, some of the feedback I got was incredibly valuable and changed the course of the level a lot. This suggestion by Bingscraft to add sunset colors was such a good idea and added the bit of color that the level absolutely needed, and I ended up adding in loads of subtle pulses to purple throughout the level because of it. So I kept building the level part by part, releasing previews until preview 5 when I did the unthinkable. I built the gameplay first. This seems like a small thing, just a couple of outlines where I want the wave to go and stuff, but I kid you not, this was the reason that the level almost didn't get finished. At that point, I was working on the level every single night. I was super motivated and really enjoying the process of building, but as soon as I made the gameplay first, I uploaded one more preview, then didn't release another for nearly 2 whole months. This is personally why I think non-demons are so much easier to build, because you don't have to worry about the gameplay nearly as much. Yes, making good gameplay for easier levels is important, but I would never in my right mind copy-paste structures like this to create gameplay in a demon level. But that method of creating is so much easier, and allows you to focus way more energy on the decoration, molding the gameplay to it rather than basing the decoration around the gameplay. Now, although I didn't upload any previews for about 2 months, doesn't mean that I didn't work on the level. I worked on it periodically, a couple times a week, but I wasn't sitting down for a couple hours every night like I was before. This stage of building the level was probably the most difficult, considering a lot of it by this stage was polishing things up and working on the transitions between parts, something I really don't enjoy at all. One main thing that helped keep me motivated though was actually coin grinding. Playing other easier levels was such a big motivator for me, and is definitely something I highly recommend. Playing 7 stars and below is surprisingly fun, and for me anyway, it gives me so much more motivation to get in and build than almost any demon does. I think this is because, once again, demons are more focused on gameplay, while easier levels are more focused on decoration. The amount of times I've watched an extreme demon completion, or beaten an extreme or insane myself, and got inspired to make a bit of gameplay is insane. I have literally hundreds of little snippets of layouts and challenges that I built just because I felt like it. And I believe the same, but with decoration, applies to easier levels in a way. Either way, bit by bit, I eventually made enough progress to warrant another preview, which I uploaded on September 13th. From here, it was on to the final phase. Every part had been individually decorated, now it was just time to polish and improve some of the weaker parts that didn't look as good. My least favorite part of the process, but it did have to be done. I actually wrote a checklist of stuff I wanted to do with the level, and over the course of the next couple weeks, I slowly was checking off everything that was on that list, while also adding more because, well, it's never perfect, is it? But then eventually, my desire to release the level overcame my desire to improve it, and I released a final preview. I was gonna wait until the next day to release it, just in case I got any really good final feedback, but bro, I was way too excited and just released it later that night. Alright, it is 7 PM on a Friday night, and you know what? I think it's about time I release Solar. Explore an ethereal kingdom of pure energy and take down the mechanical core. When it rests, night is upon us all. When it rests, night is upon us all. That kind of references the fact that, you see, sunset colors are 2 main parts in the level. First of all is when you first see the mechanical core, when it's coming down in the background, and that's when night falls. And then later on, right at the end of the level when you actually kill it, the screen kind of goes to white, and then it goes through to red, and then to purple, and then to black. I love that pulse, dude. I'm still so proud of that. That's the best pulse I've ever done. I'm so happy with the bricks. I wasn't sure about them at first, but now, oh, damn it. There's a lot of bricks throughout the level, and I kind of tried to use that to convey the kingdom thing. I think I did a decent enough job at that. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, dude, I'm so happy with that. It's not like an end screen or anything, but it just like fades through the colors so nicely. I love it. Okay, awesome. I'm nervous, dude. I'm nervous to release this. That's solar, but converted to numbers using the phone number pad thing. Okay, cool. And share level. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh my god. And after frantically fixing bugs that people found and adding an LDM, the level was officially complete and out to the public. I was honestly really nervous releasing this, especially since I hyped it up way more than I probably should have. Like, I was genuinely shaking while putting in the final details of the level, like I was getting phone in extreme or something. But I was so happy to have it finally released. And after about a week of it being uploaded, it happened. Oh my god. Yes! Oh my god! It got featured, yes! Verified coins as well. Oh my god, okay, now I need to beat it. Yes, silver coin, let's go! Oh, got featured as well. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Hell yeah, dude. Oh my god. Now, I do want to address some things that were said about it being rated real quick. I had a lot of people saying that it was only rated because I have a following in the community. This doesn't get to me anymore, but for newer creators that get their first creator points, it's probably the most devaluing and demotivating thing you can possibly say to a creator, as you're disregarding their work as bias or pure luck. You can have whatever opinion you like about the rating system, but please don't tell that to a creator who you think is an example of that. Now, of course, I'm not looking for like sympathy or apologies or anything. I just wanted to share that perspective for future reference. I know a lot of the people who said that weren't trying to cause any harm. But either way, yeah, that was the process of receiving my first creator points. I hope this video was interesting and gave some useful perspectives that'll hopefully help you in your creating journey as well. I still have a hell of a long way to go in terms of creating, and hopefully I can continue to improve my abilities and release more levels going into the future. Thanks heaps for following me on this journey, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I wish you luck on your own projects. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this scripted video. I don't do these very often. I hope you enjoyed it, yeah? So yeah, let me know what you thought of it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Really hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I will see you later.